Hi ladies, this is just one of hopefully many tutorials I'm going to start doing while we're all sort of at home to keep you occupied. We're going to use the framed oval mask set, also Forest Flora, and then we're going to use a little bit from down at the den as well. And we're just going to do a very simple little card like this one here. Okay. So I'm going to run you through it. We've also done a little bit of embossing on this one. So that is going to be the first step that we do. So we've placed all the masks on the front of the card. And then just using Stix 2 removable adhesive, we've popped that on the back of the stencils and that will just hold them in place while you work. So my first step that I'm going to do is to take a little bit of wax paper. So for this one, we use this called Cut Right. I'm sure you'd be able to get something similar. So it's just quite thin. And then what we're going to do is scrunch this up into a little ball like that. And that will give you a little bit of lubrication on the back as you work. So I'm going to pop this middle bit out of the stencil here. Okay, so just like this. And then just rub off any of that residue of adhesive. And then we're going to go to the inside of the card and then we're just going to rub just around the edges of the stencil so you can feel that with your finger. And what you should start to see, hopefully you can pick this up on the camera, is the shape of your oval just coming through on the front there. This wax paper will actually just lubricate the embossing tool. I don't know if you've ever done dry embossing before, but this sort of thing, if you don't use something to lubricate the ball tool, you get sort of a scratchy noise and it's not very pleasant. And it just helps the tool glide very, very easily over your card. So the reason we're doing this first is, I just kind of think it locks the card in place into your stencil. And because when we sort of colour in, I use the baby wipe technique and I sort of rub quite hard. And you don't want to be rubbing any colour onto the underneath of your stencil. So now we can see that the card is actually flush and it's level with the actual stencil. I'm just going to take a dry Pampers baby wipe and we're just going to start to blend. So first I'm going to take a little bit off the edge here and we're just going to blend onto here. So little circular motions and we're going to go all the way around. Now you've probably all seen me do this 1,000 times, but it's a lovely way. I mean, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on blending tools and things like that, this is a really, really cheap and effective way to get a little bit of colour. So the colour that I'm using at the moment is Atlantic, which is probably my go-to colour for sky or anything like that. You just get a beautiful, gorgeous sky look. Then we're going to use either a little bit of boysenberry, a little bit of peony, just to add a little bit of dusky look to this sky. So a little bit of pink, just going on just around the edges here until we've got as much colour as we want. Okay, so there we have that. And now we're going to use the Forest Flora, which is this one. Now you can see there's actually quite a lot of stamps in this one. I'll just pop that down, you might be able to see better. We're only going to use a few of these because we've only got quite a small space to work in. So let's start with Atlantic and we're going to start with the large mallow. I'm just going to very, very gently just start to add in the little flowers just around the edge. Now you'll see what I'm doing as well is letting the ink just run out on the stencil. So you're not getting the same intensity of colour every time you stamp. You're getting a really lovely sort of tonal look to this as well. Okay, so let's add some little leaves. So we're going to use a little bit of bamboo. The other reason I like to actually use these inks as well is, one, because you can get a beautiful background, but the other is you're actually being able to use the same colours for stamping with that you actually use for your backgrounds. So you're just not trying to match everything. So this just works very, very well. Okay. Add a little bit of the boysenberry now. Then in a minute what we're going to do is add the little bird cage. So this one, the pink, if you can't get boysenberry, peony is beautiful as well. Grape is beautiful. So anything that's got a sort of purpley, pinky hue to it. So you can see how quick this comes together. Having these little rods makes all the difference in the world. So before we go any further, before we add any more little bits and pieces, what we're going to do is pop in the little nest. So this is the nest from down at the den, and we're going to add 2 colours to this. I'm just going to move my card over a little bit. And the first colour I'm going to add is bark. Now, if you can't get hold of bark, because our supplier for these are now closed, we do have all the browns on the website. So if you want to use any 2 browns, just make sure that one is darker than the other. So we're just going to edge just around that little nest like that. So that should give us a nice 2-tone image when we stamp. So I'm going to pop it about here. Okay, so you can just see, just having that little bit of pale in the middle just gives it a little bit of dimension. So let's add in our little birds now as well. So again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to use a little bit of blue, and we're going to go just around where the chest is here. So don't worry if you go a little bit further. And then if we take the brown, we can just go all the way around and just add more colour, leaving just a little bit of the blue on show there. And then we can stamp this down, and then you get your 2-tone little bird there as well. So let's do the second one. So exactly the same technique. We're going to go all the way on the chest. Oh, excuse me, one colour, and do the blue, just like that. And then I'm going to take the brown, and we're just going to go around the head and around the back of the bird, and then just stop where you want the blue to actually show. So you'll never get it exactly the same both times, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, so you can see the little bits of the blue on there. So let's just fill in now with a little bit more of the greenery. So from the Forest Flora set, we're just going to carry on adding a little bit more in here. So you might find your inks are quite wet when you first get them, because these ones that I'm using now have been used quite a while, but don't be put off because the colours are absolutely fantastic. Okay, and then let's just do a couple of little flowers in here as well, in the peony. So just fill in. So it's basically a little layering technique, but it's such a pretty little card. You could actually use the smaller flowers in the centre of those and do a layering technique with them. Okay, and like I said, you have got lots and lots and lots of other stamps inside of that as well. So if we wanted to do something on this frame here, we could actually pop back in the centre of this oval. So we can pop this back in. Okay, and then if we wanted to put a design on this bit here, then what we can do is just pop that out. But what we're doing as well is masking out that centre panel that we've just stamped on. So you'll see there's quite a bit of glue residue there, so all you need to do is just rub that off with your finger. Because it's removable, it will just come straight off. Okay, so what we can do is put a little bit of shading onto this as well. So go back to your baby white, and I think I'm going to go for just a little bit of green on this one, but again, it could be anything you want. Now you can, if you want, emboss this first. So I'll just put a little bit of colour on just to show you, and then what we'll do, we'll emboss this from the back. But this doesn't need to be a lot either, so don't worry about getting too much colour on there, because it will be enough, just a little tiny bit. Just be careful as well. I just wanted to point out, just down the middle here, what I've done is taped out the words as well, because sometimes if you're like anything like me, I get a little bit carried away and I end up sort of going through those words as well. Okay, so if we want to now emboss that panel from the back, we do exactly the same thing that we started with before. So if I pop that over the top like that, and then we take the wax paper that we had before and we just rub that around the outside. So I've not tried, but I think probably something like greaseproof paper would work as well. So can you see we're getting the second oval showing through there now. And then just to emboss the outer edge, we're going to use the biggest edge first, so the biggest ball tool that we've got first. Now I do believe these are a bit hard to get hold of at the moment, the ball tools. If you've got one already, then that's fantastic. We do have some, but they are quite a lot smaller than this one. If you do go off the edge like I've just done there, don't worry too much, because if you've got the stencil underneath, it's not going to make any marks on the front of that card. So there we have it. We've gone all the way around. And now all that's left to do is peel all of this off. But say you wanted to maybe put a little bit of a stamped image on the top of this, while all those little stencils are in place, there's absolutely nothing stopping you just putting a beautiful little edge. Now you can go all the way around with this, but all I'm going to do is just do that top corner like that. So now we can peel all of this off. So we've got our beautiful design in the middle. And then if we take this edge off here, we've got this lovely raised effect here as well. So I don't know, I'm hoping you can see the raised effect that we're getting there. Okay, so next thing, I'm just going to finish off with a little bow. But again, you can do whatever you want with this. This is just a little example of some of the things that you can do with those stencils. Now let's just see if I can get a little bit of liquid pearls to work, and we'll pop that. Again, just in the centre of those flowers. And that will just give us a little bit of dimension. You'll see as well, it just sort of makes those flowers pop right back out into the foreground as well. Okay, and that is it. So I hope that you've enjoyed that first little demonstration. There's the original card that we did. This is one that we did on the TV. But you can see you could do lots of variations on this. So I hope you liked it. Stay safe, ladies. Another video will be coming soon. Thank you very much. Bye.